Has anyone got any questions for Mo or myself or Sanjay? Yeah, no.
Hi, Mo. Well, it's really interesting to see how I describe you as agile as an investor and very creative.
What, in his shape?
Yeah.
All right.
Both of you, and it's really sort of nice to see how you take it case by case. My question is, with the delayed completion property, how did you get the vendor on board for the delayed completion, and how did you manage any overcome objections to why you couldn't complete straight away?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I always tell the vendor, even if I was to agree a completion date with you today, I'll buy it outright without exchanging and delayed completion. Conveyancing is going to take 2 to 3 months anyway. So just give me the key undertaking now. Let's exchange. I can exchange as close as next week once I get the valuation report back. So here's a non-refundable deposit. So if I don't complete for whatever reason, you're getting that deposit. So you're actually in a better position with me exchanging next week as opposed to just agreeing an outright purchase, which is going to take 3 to 4 months anyway. And once they understand that, and most of them do, they say, yeah, you're right. I mean, nobody's going to complete within a month. It doesn't happen. And if it does, you're taking a lot of risk by not doing the right due diligence or your system not doing the right due diligence. So once they understand that, okay, I'm in a better position by letting you exchange now. And the key undertaking, it comes down to demonstrating that you're able to do the works to a good standard. So I always show them kind of my past projects, so they've got confidence in me. And ultimately, if I don't complete, then I've just refurbished their property to a higher standard, and they get the deposit.
And what would have been the difference in your returns had you gone for bridging?
2% on the arrangement fee. I don't know. Say we have to keep 3 months worth of bridging.
He does use bridging. It's just in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
He can get round it, leap straight to the term, but probably...
I try to be completely honest with you, I try and use development finance or bridging when I can because I've got more time. I'll go on a 12-month less risk. I only exchange delayed completion if the numbers just won't work. And again, it's just based on me being very tight in my numbers. But yeah, I think I've used more bridging products than I've only done a few exchange delayed completions.
So the only downside is you have to fund the works yourself, don't you?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so these are minor works. You're right, definitely. I mean, I've got some booked in at the moment, and they're 120 grand refurbs. So it wouldn't make sense for me to just outright purchase, to take on an exchange delayed completion. I could then use development finance for that. So definitely. And I mean, the one, for example, in Richmond, I need to get that on the bridge because it's just a lot of there's more funds in that deal.
We see a lot of people buying leasehold flats with short leases and then obviously negotiating that on the basis that they'll extend that lease on completion and then be able to borrow off of the extended lease value rather than the short lease value. How have you found negotiating with the freeholder?
Just before you answer that and jump in, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to throw this straight over there because Jason is a short lease expert and there's been some changes very recently which will change the whole landscape of it anyway. So Jason, if you'd like to come up and just give a quick summary to us.
So at the moment, if you serve a section 24, section 42 notice, should I say, normally you have to wait 2 years to serve it, but now, when the new rules have come in, that rule has been abolished. Yeah? So it's going to take probably another year or so for it to be embedded. But as it stands, you buy a flat with a short lease, I'm going to wait 2 years anymore. Yeah? So you buy it, attend it straight away. Yeah? And the other rule is if you serve a section 40 notice, you get 90, or at least it's extended by, or 290 years, should I say. But nowadays, what's going to happen is when you extend it, it's extended to 990 rather than 90 years. Yeah? So again, it's a long-term lease, almost approaching freehold status. Obviously, you've got to think about service charges and builder's insurance as well. Yeah?
What about marriage?
Yeah, the marriage value has been abolished. So, as it stands, just for argument's sake, say you buy a flat and you extend the lease, and it's maybe might cost you 30k. So out of that 30k, 50% of it is the marriage value. Now, that's been abolished by Michael Gold, the main man. And what they're going to do, so basically, as it stands, your premium will be 50% cheaper. But what they're going to do, what they've given to you on one hand, they're taking it from another hand. Yeah? So it's what we call the deferment rate and the capitalisation rate. They're going to up or change some of those things, which will compensate for the marriage value not being there. So even though, say it costs you 30 grand to extend the lease, marriage value's gone, which is 15k, then they're going to say, right, the freeholder needs to be compensated. So they're going to increase the deferment rate slightly. At the moment, it's like 5%-ish, or 4.75% for houses, if it's a leasehold house. They're going to adjust that a little bit so that the freeholder gets some compensation that way, rather than from the marriage value.
What's the marriage value between what and what? Between
That's the freeholder gets that bonus basically from the lease extension. Yeah, they basically double it.
so
Normally, whatever the lease would cost to extend, they double it
Yeah,
and give half to the freeholder, and
and who's they?
that's been the calculation.
And it increases when it goes below 80 years as well, the lease.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
marriage value increases.
So this is a freeholder extending his own short lease. Yeah, because
No, leaseholder extending the lease
right, okay.
with the freeholder.
Because I thought that the leaseholder had to negotiate with the freeholder as to the cost of extending that lease.
It's the negotiation figure that they
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not going to change.
No.
That's not going to change, no.
No.
It's still going to be valued by the specialist valuers that do this.
Right, so they're not just dictate. They don't just
No.
dictate the
No,
price.
but it'd be calculated a different way, which should
Bring the cost of it down.
to the leaseholder. There'll still be a profit in it for the freeholder.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for nothing.
yeah.
But it's more in favour of the leaseholder now.
Yeah.
Will the knock-on effect of that be that the value doesn't change as much when you extend the lease? Because normally we find that when you extend that lease, the value will go up by more than the cost of that lease extension.
Yeah.
So it's well worth
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know, it might cost you 50,000 to increase the lease, but you've added 75,000 to the value. Is that going to be?
I think
impacted by it?
think about what it will gain is there'll be more value to the shorter lease properties because it can be turned around quicker. You haven't got to wait 2 years. So you still take a risk for 2 years, and there's a limited market on what lenders will lend on the shorter terms. Well, if the 2 years are abolished, you haven't got to be on it for long. Bridging will come in and be out of it quicker.
Exactly. Because the lease is longer, the longer the lease, then the more in terms of value you have to get for it, isn't it? Because it's more like a freehold in a way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, to an extent. And those are the main things actually. So, Section 42, 2-year rules abolished. 990 instead of 90 years, that one's coming. And the marriage value is going to go as well. I think those are the main ones initially. Yeah.
There's 3 key dates, I believe, under 80 years, if I'm not mistaken, where the marriage value almost kind of doubles. So I think it's under 80, and then it goes under 60 and under 40. I think there's 3 key years, isn't there? So I think maybe potentially the removal of the marriage value might benefit those kind of falling, let's say, under 40, 39 years. So that marriage value's been gone, but obviously the deferment rate will kick it back up, but it might not be as much. So for example, say 40 years, it might cost you 60 grand to extend the lease, but then if it drops to 39, it might go from 60 to 80. There are 3 key dates. I think that's where the marriage values might be of a benefit.
True. So what's messing things up? Not messing things up, but the pension funds have a lot of freehold property. So initially, Michael Gove said he's going to abolish it, and then all the pension funds came out, and they said, that's going to wipe like 40 billion of our valuations for our assets. So they had to go back and then readjust it and think, right, even though I want to abolish it, how am I going to compensate them and keep them happy? So he abolished it, yeah? He hasn't sorted out the deferment rates yet, and then he left his job, like he's going, yeah? Because he knows the pension funds are coming after him, yeah? So he's smart.
Because also what a lot of the developers are now doing is selling the houses off leasehold, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of the freehold, but there's going to be a limit to the amount of charge they can charge on the freehold as well, isn't
correct,
it?
yeah. Because that's the main reason. The main reason why Gove did it is because, like you said, Taylor Wimpey, Bellway, all these major house builders, permission, they're all selling leasehold houses. And then what they were doing, so you buy a house, your ground rent might be, I don't know, $250 a year, and then every 5 years or 2 years, for example, it will double and double again. And then before you know it, you're paying $3 grand a year for ground rent, $4 grand a year for ground rent, $10 grand a year for ground rent. And then if you want to change products onto a new, like, fixed rate, some lenders are saying, no, you can't do that because your environment's over 250 or it's over £1,000. Or, so I said, all right, can I change lender? So no, like touching. A lot of these individuals had to go into a variable, and then a lot of them getting repossessed because they can't afford the mortgage and the new ground rents as well. And what the freeholders were doing, they were packaging them up, like again, like Bellway, Taylor Wimpey, packaging them up, and then they were selling on the freehold to other individuals. And then they would double it and triple it, so it causes issues. Similar to like the 2007, 2008 crash where they packaged up all the mortgages and then selling them on. So,
Right, let's not go there again.
yeah.
All right.
Some houses have been abolished as well.
Yeah,
New
going
ones,
forward, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I was just going to ask, well, more to the point, amazing what you've done.
I appreciate it, thank you.
It's quite cool how, like I said, agile and quirky it is. I love it. But
It's hard work for me.
yeah, this is what I was about to say was, you mentioned a lot like Karl's been involved and your team overall. I think it's probably good to talk about how important the team has been on this and having good people around.
100%, yeah. They're advisors to me, aren't they, really? And what I try and do is not push the boundaries, but explain the situation and give them some background and say, this is what I think I can do. Is it possible? And sometimes Karl comes back and says, no, it's not going to work. And then he might give me another alternative. But you're definitely right. I mean, that's why I owe Karl a lot. He's been kind of my advisor. But that's what a broker is. It's a second pair of eyes on your deals. And these guys see more deals than you would ever do. And it goes through two pairs of eyes, not just Karl. It goes through the lenders as well. But yeah, you're definitely right. It's
And also choosing the right broker. Obviously, you found Karl, and how did you find Karl? And because
there is, yeah.
Finding the one that can give you the right advice and steer you in the right direction is quite hard.
100%, I agree with you. I mean, I did try and use another broker before Karl, and he just didn't understand what was happening. He sent me, even when we first started off, before I put a deal forward to him, he said, can you send me all these documents first? And I was this was like 20 items. I said, look, can we just take it a step back? And I later found out that he's only been doing it for 12 months. And then I'd heard about Karl in the industry through other people at networking events. And just jumped on the phone to him and I said, I had the same deal. And he said, look, maybe we can package it in this way, which was actually the short lease flat. And yeah, he's made my life so much easier. But yeah, it's just putting your name out there, and if their name's out there, then they're doing something right.
That's right, because it's best, if you're doing short lease flats, for example, it's good to use a broker that's knowledgeable in that area.
Definitely,
yeah?
definitely.
There's some good brokers out there, but not all of them are good at certain things or certain routes, if you know what I mean. So if you're doing short leases, someone like Karl or someone I use as well.
I mean, I'll tell you a horror story actually. So a lady that I know, I met at a networking event recently, she's doing a short lease flat, and her broker, who's new, she's been there for 6 months, found a product with a lender who's not any of you guys, and the lender's made her get a second charge on 2 of her other buy-to-lets, and has given her a 3-month period to extend the lease. And if they don't, then I'm not sure what's going to happen, but she's essentially had to pay fees for all of the second charges, and they almost missed completion day and they had exchanged, and now they need to complete within 3 months, and she wasn't aware of this, but it was in her terms of a mortgage. So yeah, using the wrong broker could cost you money.
Yeah. And solicitor as well, actually.
I was just about to say that, Paul. One of the important things is when we're given a project to look at is getting the legal side of it as well, because sometimes it's in your interest to split the title on completion, not later on, depending on what you're doing with the property. And the solicitors have got to be on board and aware of it from the start. You can't just throw it to them on the day of completion and say, I want to split this title, because I'm going to do it the next day, you're not. So, as I say, always speak to them and get their involvement as early in the process as possible.
Definitely.
Any other questions? No? All right, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think